Welcome back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Meyers now joined by Tim Bukowski, the head coach of the Southmoreland Scotties, who are off to a 3-0 start, courtesy of their victory against Laurel Highlands last week. And Tim, first off, congrats on the great start. 3 wins, scoring 45 or more points in every single game. It seems like the offense has been clicking. What do you like most about your team's start so far to 2024?
Well, it's obviously great to be 3-0, Sean. You know, we play them one at a time, but 3-0 is better than 0-3. So we're excited about the start, and I think the biggest thing is we're playing well in all three phases of the game. We've had contributions from offense, defense, and special teams. Has scored 2 touchdowns already. So, and we've kicked a 50-yard field goal with Jake Kaler. So we're playing well in all three phases right now.
I mentioned 45 or more points each game. That included 49 each of the past 2 weeks. Obviously, it's a lot of guys contributing, and as you mentioned, all three phases contributing, but there's no doubt a lot of attention goes to your freshman quarterback, Anthony Smith. He had been getting headlines even before he started his high school career. How has he responded to the pretty significant expectations, and what has he done so far that it has, kind of eased his transition to the varsity game?
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's mature beyond his years. That's the first thing. If there's a bad play out there, he doesn't get rattled. If nobody's open, he's poised enough to throw it away. So, he's living up to the expectations so far. Obviously, there's room to grow, but statistically, he's off to a great start. He has 8 touchdown passes, and he's right at 600 yards. So, we're proud of him, and the team believes in him. And, you can't doubt the arm strength. You don't get guys that can throw the ball like this all the time. So we're blessed to have him, and we're really blessed to have him for 4 years.
Yes, certainly. The future is very bright. Honestly, I thought that maybe the offense would be a little slow out of the gate because you graduated your top passer, rusher, and receiver from a year ago. And those were all really good guys, Kiefer and Keffer and Craiget. But it doesn't seem like so far you've really missed a beat. So how, as the collective offensively, kind of filled the void that those guys left?
Well, yeah, those were big losses. And, from the outside looking in, everybody would have expected us to take a real dip with our statistics. But we knew we had Elliot Primus ready to go. He had a great summer, 7-on-7. He was pretty dominant out there. He's another big target at 6'3". So, he's done a great job getting open, running good routes, and he's connected with Smith very well. The other point being is we have 4 starters back on the offensive line. So we knew we had guys. We start 4 seniors and a junior up front. So when you have experience up there and the way they're playing with confidence, Jarrell Braxton and Jimmy Carson and Lewis Maines, Jake Govern, and Cole Teets. Cole's the new starter. He's filling in for Aiden Corvin. But those 5 have really meshed. And that's where it all starts. And they've done so far in every game, we've owned the line of scrimmage. And it's made it easy for our backs. Ethan Shawley and Cam Phillips both have had big moments as running backs. Neither are going to replace the Dejan athletically with what he could do, but they're a nice combination, kind of a power and a speed guy. And then we have, Jackson Mickens playing well at tight end. He had 2 touchdowns this week. And then he's another freshman who's just, really mature beyond his years.
Even though maybe some guys needed to prove their worth offensively, everyone that I talked to at the Scotties in the training camp part of the preseason was hyped about the defense, and they said they thought it could be one of the best in their entire classification, maybe even in the WPIAL. Certainly, it's been very solid so far. You've not allowed more than 20 points in a game. What do you like about that side of the football and how it's playing?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those guys that was really high on the defense. I just felt that, we brought a toughness this year that, we've been building up to. We've gotten, more physically, but I feel right now that we have some guys that are just dominant. You look at Shawley at linebacker, 134 tackles last year, playing as a senior. He's just that guy. When the ball snapped, Ethan Shawley's right there. Elliot Primus, first team all conference edge player. We have him playing more in the secondary right now, but, there are so many pieces over there. Mikel Darnell's been a great player, both ways for us. Special teams, running a punt back, in the slot receiver, and he played corner. We've had a lot of different looks. The secondary was our biggest concern, but we have a lot of guys that are stepping up now, and they're all young. So we're excited about our young secondary. But, Dawson Wolf has filled in at middle linebacker. We moved Stanley Chapman to the edge, and he's just been in the backfield every game, just playing at a high level. So, defensively, this is by far the best team we've had since I've been around here. And a lot of those points that we're giving up, we're kind of giving up late in the games. So I think their stats are even a little better than they show.
Well, a guy who has great stats, you mentioned him before, is Jake Kaler. And rarely do I spend a lot of time asking questions about kickers, but he deserves it because we've seen his strong leg when we come out to the camp, but he's now done it in a game, a 50-yard field goal, setting the school record. One, was there any surprise when it went through, or is that almost expected? And two, is there even more distance in that leg, potentially, if needed?
Yeah, Jake's having a great season. He's pretty steady, accurate on his extra points. He's made them all. And, the 50-yarder was really exciting to be a part of. I actually thought maybe it was around 45 when we first called the timeout. And then when he ran out there and they said it was a 50, I knew it had potential. I knew he'd have to hit it good. And, at 45 and in, I feel really good with Jake. But he got a hold of that one. It would have been good from probably 55. And usually in the pregame, he lets me know. And he even last game, he said, I feel good from 55 tonight. So it's a huge weapon, not only for field goals and extra points, but his kickoffs have been a lot deeper this year than they were last year. So he's put some in the end zone, but he's putting most of them, inside the 5-yard line, which is a big advantage for us to start them out and make them drive a lot further.
Talking to Tim Bukowski, the head coach of the Southmoreland Scotties, who are off to a 3-0 start. I think one of the fascinating aspects of your responsibility that maybe goes kind of under the radar is the fact that you have players from a couple of different schools. You co-op with Geibel. And so I would imagine there's some challenges because they might not be all that familiar with one another. They're obviously not sharing the same hallways as those who go to Southmoreland. So what is that adjustment like, and how do you get everyone to come on the same page?
Well, we've been pretty fortunate with the Geibel guys because they all, are good kids and they fit in. And the Southmoreland players are very accepting. They know that we've picked up a couple of guys who are pretty athletic this time around. And, it's helped the program as a whole. So I kind of just let them, on themselves. And it always just meshes. And the next thing you know, they're hanging out together outside of football and playing 7-on-7s together. But it is something that you have to be cautious of because what people fail to remember here is, before we got here 10 years ago, without Geibel, this program would have folded. They had, without the Geibel guys, they would have forfeited games the year before Dave Kiefer took over. So it's helped the program in more ways than just, okay, we've got a couple guys that can really play now. It's been an asset. So, we don't actively go after players. If they go to Geibel, they could play for us. And we're just in a fortunate situation right now. They're more football players than they were in the past. A lot of them were basketball guys that just kind of did football on the side. These guys are more football focused.
Well, certainly there's a lot of football focus now at Southmoreland. It almost seems like the norm now, certainly the expectation to make the playoffs. But the playoff victory is still lacking. I know that has been a big story, and you've been close, obviously, getting those opportunities. It feels like this group wants to be part of history. Is that fair to look at that as a goal without really getting too far ahead of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a goal. It's something that's obviously, hanging over the program to be one of only a couple of WPIAL schools to never win one. These guys, I hope they're the group that does it because they've been so dedicated to the game and they've worked so hard in the off season to get better. Southmoreland football now is actually important where, there were times over the summer where we'd have 15, 17, 18 kids at camps or at some type of football function outside of what they do here. So I can tell that this group is more football oriented. Last year we had a good group and we had some good athletes, but a lot of those guys were basketball first, where now we feel like we have a group that's really football first. And yeah, I hope they're the group. I mean, we don't bring it up as much as we used to. We don't talk about it as much. We're just kind of week by week right now. And that's kind of been the focus. So maybe it's a better approach. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out in the end.
Well, it's been such a great start, and that began with the home victory against Valley, 45-20 to open the season. But I'm sure that was a very challenging time for you because you were out there on the sidelines with a heavy heart. Your dad had passed away just prior to that. And so first off, condolences to that. I know we offered that on our show a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to reiterate that. How difficult was that for you to be on the sidelines focusing on football after just going through that loss? And then I guess on a more positive outlook, what was his greatest impact on you as a person or as a football coach?
Well, he was just very supportive. Anytime I, looked up in the crowd, he was always there. Even through the, era at Clairton when we went to Hershey all those years, my dad traveled. He didn't miss a game. So it actually was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. That I got emotional a little bit talking to the team before the game, and then walking down there, I looked up kind of where he was sitting, and my wife Laurel had set up a little collage of his hoodie and some flowers and some things that where he would have normally sat, and we had that pictures of that and everything, which was real nice. But yeah, I mean he was a good role model. He was not he always liked sports, but he didn't play sports in high school, so it was just something I kind of probably got more from my mom's side. But yeah, I definitely miss him, and it was very difficult. The whole team came to the funeral in their jerseys, and that just melts your heart. You're as a coach, what more can you ask for than your team to be there for you when you need them? And I hope that I'll always be there, for those guys if they need me. And people talk about coaching and what does it mean, and obviously, everybody wants a win, and wins and losses are important, and that's what you're judged on. But I got messages from guys that I coached, in the 1990s, with sympathy, and it goes so much deeper. And it made me say to myself, even when you're having a bad day coaching, or maybe you got a parent disgruntled, or it's all worth it because of the relationships that are built and the love that, I have for all the guys I've coached.
That's certainly a great message there. I know the message is for your team to keep playing at this high level because you don't want to fall into a pitfall of overlooking any opponents. You have Blackhawk and Ringgold upcoming before you start the conference. What will be key in particular against the Cougars this Friday?
Well, it'll be 3 games in a row against Quad A opponents. So, we're stepping up in class. Blackhawk has a good team. They're 1-2, but they just lost to North Catholic by 1 point, late in the game. Very well coached. I think they, are coming off a tough year, and it seems like the energy level there has really been raised with the new staff. Their defense is very aggressive. They bring a lot of heat, and they got a good running back, quarterback. Both guys are tough, and they also have, like us, a big 6'3" receiver that they like to go to. So, for me, I look forward to it because I think it's going to be a very good game. Fortunately, the first 3 went well, and we were kind of cruising along. But I want to see our team challenged, and I know they're going to get challenged this week. So how will we respond? Can we handle a tough game? When we get hit back in the mouth, are we going to get up and fight? That's what we need to find out before we get in the conference, and Blackhawk will provide that.
Well, Tim, thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. It's always good talk.
You as well, Sean. Thanks you.
That is Tim Bukowski, the head coach of the Southmoreland Scotties. We'll take a break and continue with more after this on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.